What's up, guys? Welcome to today's video. So in today's video, I'm going to be taking you through the process of my citizenship application. This is 2002 citizenship application, and I saved my own 2022 citizenship application. So this is the process as of 2022. My application, because she's not yet qualified to apply for citizenship. I came here before, but if you want to see all of that, just there's a video that will explain all of that. So I'm just gonna go through that process for me, so that if anybody is getting ready to apply, you can know what to expect and all of that.
Yep. In our usual fashion, just helping the community. Anyways, I'm not going to be talking too much.
Because she's not qualified.
It's going to be a Q&A. I'm just going to ask them questions and then it's going to be answering. So if you're interested, definitely keep watching. Okay?
Yeah, if you have questions at the end, as usual, leave it in the comment section. So, of course, before you qualify to be a citizen of Canada, you need to, as a PR now, of course, if you are born in Canada, you automatically are a citizen and then you just apply for the passport. So if you have a child, if you give birth to a child in Canada, they of course give you a birth certificate. That is what you need to apply for citizenship. And of course, actually no, that's what you need to apply for passport, because by being born here, you're automatically a citizen, and then you just apply for a passport and you're good. But we that came here from another land as permanent residents, so the rule is in a 5-year span of time, you need to have been in Canada physically for 3 years out of that 5 years.
Yep.
So 3 years out of 5 years, you need to have lived in Canada physically, and then after that, you then qualify to apply for citizenship. So the process is always, so there's an online process and there's a paper process. If you are applying with your spouse, if you're applying as a family, you would need to do the paper process. If you're applying as, just you, a single person, well, not single, but just you, an individual, you can take advantage of the online process. So because it was just me applying, I use the online process, and usually you just fill a bunch of forms. There's a time check to actually check how long you've been in Canada versus how long you were away, so you can calculate that. So basically, if you've been in Canada, it's not as if you can't travel out of Canada. You can, but in 5 years span, just be here for 3 years, at least 3 years out of that. So you need to subtract all those trips that you've gone. So for us, when we went to Mexico for like a week, so I had to subtract all of those days from that calculation. But I was still here. I still qualify after all of that subtraction, so I could apply for.
Yeah, so that basically is a summary of the application. Before I even ask you the next question, are you supposed to wait for me?
No. You don't wait on this kind of things. If you wait too much, to get soapy.
Anyway, so do you want to take us through the timeline? Like, when did you apply? Yeah. How long it took? Before
for each process.
Back to you.
Okay, so the process is, first of all, you submit your application, just like a quick timeline. Now you submit your application. There's a citizenship exam, which is like current affairs.
Yeah. So what's the exam like? What kind of question?
First of all, like the timeline, you submit, you get a response to do the exam, then they call you again for a swearing-in ceremony, and then you get your passport. Like the steps are not a lot that you have to do, but it takes time. It can take up to a year to get it. So for me, I applied in January 2022. So it took from that January till August for them to call me to say, hey, come and write your citizenship exam. And because this is 2022, ideally I think the exam is you have to actually go to a location and go and write it. But because of the current situation of things with COVID, it was an online exam. So you get the questions online and you answer. So the way the exam is, it's current affairs basically. Like it's basically current affairs. There's a book that they will provide to you when they send you that email for the exam. You also get a link to, hey, this is the book you need to read to prepare for this exam. You should read that book. You can't. So I think the exam, you can't wing it. You actually need to read that book and know stuff and do a lot of practice questions. So for me, I use the citizenship test practice app to actually pay for it. But it's cheap. It's like $3 or $7. So I use that. Yeah, an app store link that you can download the app. So that's what I used. I used it to, a lot of practice questions. I just kept practicing and practicing. There was a time after reading the book, and when I started the practice, and I was failing. I was feeling bad. What's going on? And I was surprised that what happens if I fail the exam? Anyway, So from January to August. Now, what they are doing between January and August, if you are wondering why it's taking so long, usually they do your eligibility test. If you remember when you apply for PR, all of that process, almost like doing it all over again.
Yeah.
They do your eligibility test. They do your there's an important part, test of English. Now, when you're applying for citizenship, they will ask you if you have proof of test of English, which is of course your IELTS. Now, this does not mean you go and write IELTS again. You can reuse your IELTS exam that you used for your PR application, even though it's expired. Yes, I'll say that again. Even though your IELTS exam is probably expired at this point, you can still use it for your citizenship application. So don't fret when you see that IELTS. No, you don't have to write the exam again. Just reuse that and you're good. At least that's what I did, and there was no issue.
Yep.
So from January to August is basically processing your English, processing your eligibility, making sure you actually qualified based on how long you've stayed. Also, you need to have filed 3 taxes, which is basically the same as being here for 3 years anyway.
Yes.
So you also submit all of those documentation, and so that's what's happening between when you submit to when they call you for the exam. And then after that, they call you for the exam, they tell you to pick a date. You just log into the exam portal. You turn on your camera because, of course, they will review the exam afterwards to see if somebody is assisting you or you are spying on material somewhere, or it's actually you that's writing the exam. So that's how they sort of curb people that may want to cheat, because you are not in their space now. You are just at home writing the exam online, and you cannot. In case you think you can alt tab or open another tab in your browser and Google the answer, you can't do it. You cannot. Not like I tried it. But you cannot do that. So I didn't try it. Not like, so you can't do that, because once you leave the window of the exam, it starts counting down that, hey, you need to quickly come back and continue this. And you can't copy and paste the questions. So if you say, if they say, what year did something happen in Canada, you can't copy that text, run to Google, paste it. So it's just a lot of work.
In summary,
don't cheat
for the exam, because there's no avenue to cheat. Icebreaker, sing our national anthem.
They've not given me the citizenship yet.
At this point, you have your citizenship.
They have not given me yet. When they give me, I'm going to sing.
Okay, so that's basically the timeline from application to the exam and all of that. So what comes next after you pass the exam?
Okay, so 2 things: when you pass / when you fail. If you fail,
they will not fail in Jesus' name.
Amen. No. So when you pass the exam, it's going to take another week or 2 before they get back to you. But like I said, so an examiner will actually review the. Oh, by the way, the exam is 20 questions. You need to do 80%, which is like 15.
To pass 80%?
Yeah, you need to score up to 80%, which is like 15. You have to score at least 15 questions out of it to pass. So, if you pass, of course, you're going to know as soon as you finish the exam whether you pass or not. But they still need an examiner to review your video recording to make sure that your eyes were not darting up and down when you were writing the exam. So it's going to take a week or 2 before your profile actually updates. That your online profile updates that, okay, you've passed the exam. And then after the exam, by the time you've done the exam, I mean, most of what you see on your profile should be green, should be already done. That's eligibility, criminal record, test of English, all of those should be done. So the only thing pending now for you is the oath ceremony of taking oath, swearing ceremony. So after that, you are just waiting. Of course, this is a waiting game. You are waiting for them to update your record and call you for the swearing ceremony, which, because again we're in 2022, post-pandemic, is still
virtual.
Online. Before now, it used to be a whole ceremony where you invite your family, you take the day off work. Actually, your work gives you a ceremony.
Even if it's now virtual, you still get
the day off. So you get the day off, you call into family. So it's a whole thing. You cook your love and eat your love rice after the thing. But now it's just online, so it's a lot less dramatic, which is a shame, but it is what it is. After
the swearing-in ceremony, so that will take us to them issuing you the certificate of citizenship. Right?
So when you do the swearing-in ceremony, it's usually, like I said, online. The officer is going to be on video call with you, and then a lot of people like to have Canadian flag, of course, to celebrate that in their background, in the video background. So you do that ceremony, and then next.
At this point, he hasn't done his swearing-in ceremony as a recording of his video. If when we're ready to publish and he's done the swearing-in, we'll put it clear. If not,
But this is usually how it goes. You do the video call, you do the swearing ceremony, and of course at this point you are now officially a citizen of Canada. Now, what you get now you don't have a passport yet, but you're a citizen, right? There's a difference now. So what you get now is a certificate of citizenship, which means basically your PR card is now useless. You're now a citizen. You have a certificate of citizenship.
Yep.
So with your certificate of citizenship, you now qualify to apply for a passport. So that's how it works. You're a citizen, you apply for a passport.
Okay.
And
So now you're eligible to apply for a passport. Can you take us through the process of applying for a passport? Like wait time, the process itself, passport finally arriving at
So for the passport, I believe there are also two processes. You can apply online. You can do like an expedited application, which is going to be ready in 2 days or 3 days.
Nice.
And then you can just go into the office. I think that one takes like a couple of weeks to come out. So it's straightforward. You apply for the passport, you send in all your details, and they mail it back to you, and they mail back your passport. If you want to apply for the expedited, I think you need to show a proof that you are traveling urgently for them to process. So which is like show that you bought a ticket and all of that, and of course, expedited it costs more. Yep. So you get a passport in a day or two if you go through that route.
Yeah.
So now you have your passport. Let's go to what the advantages.
Yeah. So now you have your passport. Can you tell us,
what is
summary,
the point?
So now you have your passport. What is the advantage, or what are the perks of having of being a citizen over being a PR?
Yeah. First of all, bragging rights. You're now a citizen, you have a Canadian passport, you have access to about 150 plus countries. And the passport is beautiful.
Oh my God. It is lovely. Okay, continue.
So one of the most important things is you now have a right to vote. So as a permanent resident, in case you don't know, you actually can't vote. You can't vote in candidates, and you yourself cannot basically get into politics. So you can't be a politician. But as a citizen, you can do any of those. So you can vote your representative in either at the prime minister level or at a more local provincial level, or you yourself can be a candidate. You can go into politics. You can basically do whatever. Of course, like I said earlier, you have access to a lot more countries. Now, in case you don't know, as a permanent resident, you already have access to a couple of countries that you can travel to as a PR of Canada without applying for a visa. Yeah, everybody should know that by now. But yes, Mexico is one of them. There's a lot more. Some countries, some islands in Bahamas are also on that list. Yeah. But as a citizen, there's a lot more countries you can travel to.
Unlimited.
Not unlimited.
Unlimited.
Over 150.
Yeah, but you have
travel, voting rights, what else?
Assisted jobs.
Access to some more jobs. Now, when I say that, basically, there are some government jobs that need a certain level of security clearance, because of the kind of data you're going to be handling. As a PR, you cannot apply for those jobs, but as a citizen, you now have access to apply for those jobs, and they sort out your security clearance and you're good. Yeah, so these are just a few of the advantages. I think these are the most important advantages of being a Canadian or a citizen of Canada.
So you're a nice citizen.
By the grace of God. So I shall travel now.
God win. Anyways,
and this is not to mean you should go and burn your Nigerian passport. But if you do, I understand.
Anyways, that is the whole citizenship.
That's the gist. In summary, that's the process from beginning to. It's pretty straightforward. You don't need to stress a lot. And oh yes, I didn't mention the payment. There's a payment for it actually, and I think it's roughly around 600 Canadian dollars. Yeah. So when you apply the application I did in January is when you pay for it. So it's about 500 to 600 Canadian dollars, and that's the only payment you need to make. Of course, you need to pay for the passport when it's time to apply for the passport, because that's a separate document.
Yeah.
And that is it. And congratulations, you're now a citizen. If you've gone through this process, if you think I missed anything, if something happened beyond that you think we should know, that we can learn from, let's talk about it. Yeah. So, but that's how the process has been for me. The most annoying part is the wait game. It was really easy, but there's a lot of waiting.
I wanted to say that, everything he said is peculiar to him. That's his own timeline. So it may be different from next person. So,
And if you applied and you are wondering why it's taking so long, like I said, I applied in January, wrote the exam in August. That's like 7 months after. So you can see that timeline. So just be patient if you are still waiting. It's going to be that long. It's going to come. It's going to come. So short video. That's it for this video. Just wanted to quickly tell you a brief life update and what that process is like. So
hope you learned from it.
Hope it was helpful. And if you have any other questions, and if other people can answer those questions, because I don't have all the experience, like she said, it's just my own experience. That's my own journey. So if you have anything to add, please let's discuss in the comment section.
Oh, I'll come and tell you my own journey. Me too, I'll get my own passport. I'll come back here and testify. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Peace.